Hello, everybody. This is post production Daisy stepping in just to say that the following episode you're going to listen to is absolutely fantastic. The only issue is that for some reason, my microphone that's worked perfectly on all other episodes decided to just be cracklier than a bowl of rice bubbles. Don't really know how that happened, to be honest, but it's a thing. And it isn't that bad, but I just thought that I'd say something at the beginning of the episode. So, yeah, headphone listeners, just letting you know, it might be a little crackly, and I'm sorry. But anyways, enjoy. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Stripped Back with Daisy Delight, where I am doing my very, very best to unpack the Sydney burlesque scene one rhinestone at a time. And I know that I just said Sydney burlesque scene then, but sometimes somebody comes along that's interstate and you got to pick up the phone. I don't know what else to tell you guys. And today I am joined by the iconic Evana De Lune. Evana, how are you going?
I am very, very good. Thank you for asking.
Thank you for being here. Honestly, I'm kind of pinching myself a little bit. I mean, when I think of burlesque inspirations and icons, especially in Australia, you're a shining star. So thank you so much for doing this with me.
That is very kind of you to say, and thank you for having me. I am happy to talk burlesque to anyone who will listen, so I'm glad to be here.
I'm excited. Now, you have a very impressive rap sheet, may I say. So, I do a little stalk of my guests before I have them on my show. So, you have, first of all, off the top, you're a Melbourne-based burlesque performer and producer. You recently hosted Burlesque Hall of Famers Tito, Bonito, and Jessabelle Thunder on an extremely successful Australian tour, which, might I add, I was in the audience at Sydney. The vibe was impeccable. So, congratulations on that.
Stop it, I'm blushing.
You also taught at Maison Burlesque in Melbourne, as well as in your own workshops nationally and internationally, where you've met thousands of unique students. In 2023, you were voted the best Australian burlesque performer at the Australian Adult Industry Choice Awards, and you're also an entertainer at La Bar Supper Club, where your performances have made newspaper headlines for making university professors hot under the collar.
That was a very fun time. Yeah, that was a good one.
What was it they said that they had to provide counseling or something and you're just like
Yes. Yes, that was a hoot and a holler. And honestly, just I didn't even think anything twice about that event. It
yeah,
didn't occur to me that, it's just another corporate gig. You say yes, you do your job and you go home.
yeah.
And then I didn't even know that that article was about me while I had friends talking about that article until I had the venue call me up and tell me that it was about me.
No,
And
really.
I was like, oh my gosh, that sounds crazy. I like barely paid attention. And then all of a sudden I realized that that was about me and I did that. Hee hee, whoops.
Yeah, it's like this is just another day at the office, guys. Like
Honestly, offending educated people? Absolutely. Why not?
absolutely. It's all in a day's work for Ivana De Lune.
Ugh, apparently.
So if you're happy, we can just like get straight on into it.
Let's do it.
All right. So what was your first ever exposure to burlesque?
Well, I danced as a kid. That's probably not a shock to anyone who's seen me perform, but I actually started with gymnastics and then moved into ballet, jazz, tap, all of those things. And it was a pretty ongoing theme that I was too tall to be a
Oh,
gymnast and too tall to be a ballerina.
oh.
So I know, it's crazy,
How
but
tall are you?
I'm 5'9",
Right.
and in the gymnastics world, your feet would touch the floor on the uneven bars, and the apparatus and the wind resistance of being a taller girl, you would always get defeated by these little pocket rockets. So that was never really going to be a successful option for me.
Right.
So I was pretty much being steered into this showgirl kind of realm, pretty much. And everyone was saying, yep, she's going to dance for the Moulin Rouge. My mum used to walk around the supermarket and tell people that I would dance for the Moulin Rouge one day, which
Oh.
looking back was so inappropriate. I was like 9 years old and she was telling people I was going to do topless dancing.
What?
So I know, right? I know, right? I was very much, I don't want to say groomed for this, but I feel like everything that happened in my life led me to this pathway. Like both of my grandparents were born in the 1930s, so a lot of their pictures were always in vintage fashions. My grandma had photos, like pin-up photos of her with victory rolls
Oh,
and
gorgeous.
all of those things. And then becoming a teenager, my style was changing and I was trying to find my identity. And I found Dita Von Teese when I was a teenager. And
Mm.
she was my first inspiration for like how I would have my makeup done for formals and things like that, because it was nice to see someone embracing pale skin in the 2000s.
Yes.
So it was, she was almost the only person with really dark hair and very fair skin that kind of had an aesthetic that I could sort of latch on to or idolize around. And then eventually Burlesque the movie came out, and the rest was kind of history after that. I was kind of obsessed.
Really?
Not that Burlesque the movie can really account for that much, but I did end up doing a Burlesque the movie themed dance routine through my dance school, which
Oh,
is so cringe. It's so bad. I'll have to leak it one day. Um,
wait, are you saying that there is an Evana De Lune choreographed wagon wheel Watusi out there?
Oh, I wish we did that routine. No, but I do give my best EXPIESS that I can.
Hell yeah. So you've just always been a part of it then, more or less.
Pretty much. I think it's always been on the cards for me, and it took me a really long time to bite the bullet and give it a go, which people would probably say 22 years old to get started doesn't actually sound like a long time, but for how long the lead up was, it felt like I took my time to get to the stage to actually give it a go.
Yeah,
But I'm
absolutely.
really glad that I did.
You got yourself ready with all of the other forms of dance and all of your other
That's it.
pursuits. Yeah.
That's it.
Oh, I love that. Were there any burlesque performers that you saw in your early days that really left an impression on you?
The first burlesque performer I ever saw in the flesh was Jacqueline Fury in
Aha.
Brisbane. I was
Nice.
there on a holiday with some girlfriends and we ended up going to a bar. I think it was One. I think it's called One. I'm not sure if it's still open, but they had like tabletop dancing. And I
Oh,
remember turning around as a 21, 22-year-old fresh lesbian girly sitting with her friends, looking up and seeing this most like the most beautiful woman I had ever seen, Jacqueline Fury, duh, with her beautiful red hair standing up on top of a bar dancing with these glorious feather fans covered in butterflies. And
oh,
it felt like a fever dream. And I was like, I want to do that, I want to be that, I want all of that.
yeah.
And I think it was like a week or two later, I signed up for a burlesque workshop
Oh,
after that. And that was with Miss Alyssa Kitt,
oh, yeah, incredible.
right?
Incredible performer.
And that was my first dose of burlesque. That was the first class I ever did.
Wow. What was that like?
It was incredible. It was incredible. I was dating a girl at the time, and she took me to the class because she was doing burlesque as well.
Oh,
And so it was really nice having a sort of safe environment to try it out. And then to have someone as iconic as Miss Alyssa Kitt
mm,
really instill a sense of belief in you, as she did for everyone in the class. But it was really nice to have someone sort of turn around and say to me, "You could do this. You're doing really great. You should do this."
yeah,
And almost not that she gave me permission, but it felt like that gave me an opportunity to give myself permission to give it a go as well. And
yeah,
it was life changing, let me
yeah.
tell you.
Absolutely. Just having that one person, especially somebody who is like as experienced and as established in the scene as that, believe in you, it would mean everything.
It really did. It really did. And Miss Alyssa Kitt is a dear friend and
Oh,
someone I look up to so much. So it was, yeah, I love that full circle moment. Anytime I think about her, I always get butterflies thinking about how magical that experience was.
it's beautiful. So what kind of stuff
Mm.
did you do in the class?
I remember the craziest thing we did was like bunny hops, which
Oh,
was insane,
yeah.
especially having taken such a break from dancing for quite a while and then getting into there doing like back bends and lots of bumping and grinding and learning all sorts of like, very vintage erotic moves and figuring out that my body could still do those kinds of things or could do those kinds of things.
Yeah.
I was very sore the next day, but it was fantastic.
No one really prepares you for how brutal bunny hops actually are, hey?
Oh
Like
my gosh. I don't do them often. Wouldn't recommend them to anyone.
bump and grind performers are on another level. Like I swear they are
hmm
aliens.
hmm
Oh man. Oh, that sounds like so much fun though. So did you work with Alyssa more after that initial workshop?
Well, she was still living in Brisbane and she was just down for the weekend for workshops. So
Mm.
I didn't really get to see her for a while after that. And
Uh,
I just ended up joining classes at Maison. So the workshop that I did was at Maison and she
oh,
was just there for the weekend. And then I just immediately signed up for a term.
gorgeous.
And then the rest is kind of history.
There you go. And how long ago was that?
Ugh, I I think it was I'm really bad with maths right now, but I think I started in 2017,
Yeah, wow.
so that's 7 years ago,
Oh my God.
and it would have been over 7 years ago because I think that was in August
Yeah.
of 2017, and so I would have been gearing up for my first performance
Yeah.
ish around now, so like a group solo, not a group solo, sorry, a group routine.
Oh my God. Wow.
And I went from 0 to 100. So I did one workshop and then I signed up for three troop classes.
Oh, holy shit. You're just all in. You're like, okay,
Yeah,
I know what I want.
yeah. I mean, that's kind of the way that I do things. It's very much 0 or 100 for me, especially, I mean, growing up, I always did like dancing. I would be in 13 routines in a show, and
Yeah,
then we'd
wow.
have 2 shows a day. So I'd be doing 16 routines. So three really wasn't a huge number for me. I
Right.
thought that was it was a nice little break.
Thank God. You've just always been a powerhouse, always just full throttle.
Well, if you're putting the makeup and the hair on already, you might as well get what you want out of it.
Get the mileage.
Yeah, yeah.
So what was your first group routine?
I think well, there were three that day. So there was
Hmm.
these cute little angel costumes. We did Oops, I Did It Again, where
Oh,
we were innocent but not so innocent.
yeah.
And that was with Poppy Cherry. It was very fun, very cute. I
Yeah.
also did sort of a fetishy kind of inspired routine. I think Dolores Daiquiri taught that one, and it was to Ooh La La by Goldfrapp. That
Yeah.
was fun. And I can't remember what the other one was.
Celebrate.
It was a fan dance. I did a fan dance, that's right.
Oh wow.
And it was to Nat King Cole's Love, love, and we had big bows on our butts.
Cute.
Yeah. And that was with Poppy Cherry as well.
Just well, so it sounds like you had like a real good smattering of all the different kinds of styles there.
Yeah, absolutely. I was like, I'm going to get a smorgasbord of burlesque. And that's what I was like for every term. I'd pick three different classes with three different teachers and try to learn something from everyone until I felt like I knew what burlesque was.
Yeah. I like that. That's cool. You like got some diversity there and that helped shape who you are.
100%.
Oh,
Learn from everyone. Everyone teaches and does burlesque so differently, and there is no correct or right or one way to do things.
oh,
So learning from as many people as possible was exactly what I needed at the time.
yeah, absolutely. 100%. And that's what I love about burlesque is that there is no correct way to do it. It really is an
Mm,
individual thing.
yeah, it's beautiful.
It really is. So how did you get your burlesque name?
Well, Ivana is a play on my original name, so it's very close to what my real name is. And I
Ah,
really wanted something that someone would call out and I would respond to.
Right.
So, so, so it's very close to my original name. So I wanted something that I wouldn't hate over a long period of time as well.
Mm, mm,
But De Lune, I did a lot of research on this name and I wanted to make sure that there were no current performers that had anything similar so that I
mm.
could have something unique, which it was a lot easier to do that 7 years ago. Really feel for people trying to pick names now, trying to make something original. It's very difficult.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, did my research, sat down with it. I also had a very spiritual upbringing and a very spiritual family. So I knew that I wanted something moon related.
Yeah.
And I knew that I wanted 3 words. So I was on like Google Translate, typing in moon, trying to find cool translations, trying to find different languages. And I settled on French. So de
Mm.
lune, yeah, roughly means the moon or moon. It's moon. It means something moon, de lune, moon, Miss Moon.
Miss Moon.
Miss Moon, that's me. And I knew that I wanted 3 words as well.
Yeah.
My last name in my real life is very wordy. I have a lot of words in my name. So I knew I wanted multiple words.
Right.
And I settled on Evana De Lune. I thought it sounded nice. It
Yeah.
rolled off the tongue well. It took me a long time to come up with my name. I was sitting on Skype with my best friend, like scrolling through, like going through, trying to
Yeah.
find something. And yeah, I settled on Ivana De Lune. And now I have a new goal where I want to be more Googleable than the song Claire de Lune. So that's a dream of mine. Maybe one day it'll happen.
Claire de Lune. I don't even know what that song is. Like you're already
Oh,
in my mind.
no
I
way. Oh, you
don't
should
know it.
definitely. Okay, well, I have homework for you then. There's an incredible performance that Sally Rand did
Uh-huh.
back at the Chicago World Fair back in the 1940s to the song Claire de Lune by Debussy. You
Uh-huh.
should look it up, or I'll send it to you. It's
Okay.
incredible.
Hell
Yeah.
yeah.
So
Um
I have goals.
I love it. That's awesome. Well, I mean, Ivana De Lune does really suit you as well. Like I can't imagine your name being anything else. So you sold me on
Well, great. Let's pretend that I don't have any other names and that's all it is. Perfect.
it. So what was your first ever solo act then?
My first ever solo was Wolf. You can see it on YouTube in full.
Mm.
It is the story of Little Red Riding Hood, but as soon as I start performing, you realize that I am the wolf.
Oh,
And I know, so bold. I
that's
don't really relate to the storyline now, but at the time, it meant quite a lot to me because growing up, I was always the really innocent friend. I
mm,
was the very responsible one.
mm.
I was People could very much rely on me and expect me to do the right thing and just the more demure, very mindful kind of girly. And
Yeah.
so I really wanted to rip off that, quite literally rip off that hood or that mask of being what people expected me to be and to prove that I wasn't, a girl anymore. I was erotic. I was
Mm.
feminine. I was stepping into my sensuality, my sexuality. So I rip off that hood and I'm the wolf underneath.
That's a
Yeah.
really cool concept.
Thank you. I don't think it's particularly original, but it meant a lot to me at the time.
Really? Did you come up with that yourself or did you workshop that with other people?
I came up with the costume and the most of the choreography and the concept by myself. I wanted help with floor work,
Mm.
which this happened so long ago now, which is so wild. This was over 7 years ago now. I
Wow.
think I debuted back in February of 2018,
Oh, wow.
and I know, I know. But I needed help with floor work, so I got help from Domino de Jour,
Hmm.
who does some incredible stuff on the floor, let me tell you.
Yeah.
And that was the first private lesson that I ever had. And yeah, I think I had one private lesson and then just got on stage as soon as I could.
It's like, yep, let's go for it. Full send.
Honestly, yes.
That's awesome. What was that private like?
It was really cool. I hadn't worked with any burlesque artists that intimately before,
Mm.
and Domino is such a cool person, and her personality is so strong. So it's almost like working with a drill sergeant,
Yeah,
which
right.
was exactly what I needed at the time. And
Mm-mm.
learning about how to do floor work properly and how to actually like give in to the floor work and not half-ass it or try and hold back to save yourself. It's like if you're going to get on the floor, you better get on the floor,
Yeah.
you know? So it was pretty cool.
No, absolutely. It reminds me of I attempted to do a floor work class at the beginning of the year with Mama Medusa, who's an absolute icon.
Oh, yes,
We love Mama.
of
But
course.
I remember her teaching us how to do fish flops. And that,
Oh,
yeah, the groan of knowing.
oh no.
I was so terrified. She's like, no, it's actually worse if you don't commit.
It is.
Yeah, you have to like full send, but it's so scary.
Yeah, you can't get the floppy fish if you're feeling real stiff. And if you freeze up, you can't roll.
Yeah.
So you become like a dead fish real quick if you don't flop into it, which is terrifying. It
Yeah,
totally is.
it absolutely is. I'm just like, oh my God. Yeah, no, it's definitely a learning curve. Hey.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like I have a real sense of, I don't know if it's like willful ignorance when it comes to doing tricks like that. I
Yeah.
think doing gymnastics really breaks your soul in a
Oh,
way that makes you fearless about trying things that would really hurt you.
yeah.
So I'll jump into a fish flop and hurt myself and get up and keep trying and not do the things where I freeze and freak out. But I have taught fish flops and have witnessed people try fish flops for the first time and see that sense of fear or that tensing up. And I'm like, no, just relax,
It's
please.
fine. All right. Well, I
Like,
mean, look, gymnasts, you like, oh my God, gymnasts. Like, yeah, I don't think I've ever seen a gymnast that sensed fear. So I understand
oh,
that.
you can't. You can't. If you hold back, you are going to get seriously injured. So
Yeah.
you do. You have to full send it every time.
Full send. I love that. I love it. So that was your first ever solo act. Where did you perform that?
I oh, I performed it for my first time was the Flim Flam review. I have no idea what venue that was, but it was a fundraiser performance,
Mm.
which was randomly organized, I think, because a performer had pulled out. So it was before I was supposed to debut that.
Oh,
And
wow.
I know. And it was the day before I was supposed to debut it, and they just needed someone. And I was like, hell yeah, I'll get on stage. I would love to get on stage. So I did that. And then the next day I did my debut of my debut. And I did that at the Cherry Poppers Showcase, which is the Maison Burlesque show that
Uh,
they do. And they used to have solo performances alongside the group performances. Now they break it up because they have so many students now that they need to have like two separate shows just for the group performances, let alone the actual soloists.
oh, wow.
So it's come a long way since then.
Awesome. It sounds like
Mhm.
because you'll have to forgive me. I'm not very familiar with the Melbourne scene, but it sounds like it's
Yeah.
really like popping over there.
It is absolutely popping. Melbourne, I think, produces the most students of burlesque. I think they have so many classes and school is so successful and
Mm,
incredible that so many people get the opportunity to try it and so many people end up, creating their first act and trying it and getting out there and doing things. So I feel like there's always something on in Melbourne, which is really cool.
yeah.
But Sydney's pretty great too. I think,
Ah,
yeah, the schooling situation in Sydney, I suppose, over the past couple of years has been a bit sad in terms of losing a couple of schools and things changing around. But there's a lot of people who are live, laugh, loving burlesque here, which is fantastic.
absolutely. 100%. There are still plenty of people who are getting it out there, but yeah, no,
Mm.
the community did take a bit of a hit. Hey.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, but we keep on trucking, we keep on going.
Yes, you do.
What's your favorite act that you've ever done then?
Well, it would probably have to be my Silver Screen Starlet act, which is the silver costume
Oh,
that I love so much.
yeah.
You can see that act in multiple variations on YouTube now as well.
Mm.
I only had that costume made, I think it was for New Year's last year. It was
Wow.
done just in time for that. So it's only been around for about a year.
Mm.
And that act has had so many different variations over the past year. I had a solo version that I did in New Zealand for my first ever show, which
Mm.
was really, really cool. And it was awesome working with different people on getting that to where it was. And then building it up even further for the show that I did here in Australia and added backup dancers into
Yes.
it and made the song even longer, which was really awesome. It was so awesome to have so many people in on a collaboration and just working with, yeah, choreographers. Benjamin Cure from Melbourne, who's fantastic, worked with me on the choreography for a fair while. And then I had the beautiful backup dancers, Brooke Bird and
Mm.
Valeria, working on that. And it was just awesome. Like having something that was so much bigger than me was just such an awesome experience. And I think it was a real visual feast too.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I was in the front row for that and I was losing my shit.
Mm.
It's like, oh my God. Like that costume, because I'd seen pictures of it like on the
Mm.
internet, but actually seeing it in real life is something else entirely. Like,
Oh,
oh
it's so much better in real life.
God, stunning. And like just like I'm like that was the first time that I'd ever seen you perform live as well. And just like
Oh,
yeah, so it was like it was very exciting just like seeing the way that you held yourself was probably the biggest thing that I got out of that. It's like you had such confidence and such comfortability and just being in the still moments and in the silence and just giving the audience a look, you know, it just yeah, you know how to work it, that's for sure.
that is so nice. Thank you so much. That's really sweet. I really appreciate that.
It's all good. It's all good because, like, yeah, like I admire anyone who can do that because I'm very much still a baby burlesque performer. I'm trying, you know, hard to like learn a lot. And like one of the biggest things that I notice myself and a lot of my peers as well is that we all freak out when we get on stage and we want to go fast and we want to dance. But it's just when, yeah,
Mm.
when I think of like the more seasoned people like you and I see you, I'm just like, oh my God, like being so comfortable with that is something that I really aspire to be like. So, yeah.
Yeah, always take a breath, like have a moment to breathe. I think people take such a long time to digest things on stage. I
Mm,
think about when I watch a performance, and I say this all the time to my students, and this is just a little piece of advice.
yeah.
Listen to when people cheer when you're watching a performance. It's
Mm.
when they're not doing anything, it's when they stop. People don't cheer until they're given the excuse or the opportunity to. So if you take a breath and you pause, you're saying, I'm done talking, it's your turn now. So you can have a moment to say, this is a conversation. I would like you to input on this. So doing less invites them to talk more. So
I love that. That's
I
actually
hope that
mind
helps.
blowing. No, it does. It absolutely does. You can't see my face right now, but my jaw like literally opened as you were saying that. So,
Uh,
but it's true though. It makes so much
yeah.
sense. Yeah, because
It's like when a performer's just done like something really awesome and then just stands there and it's like, so, and everyone's like,
that's one of my favorite things when a performer does that. Hey, they do something awesome and
Mm,
they just look at you like, yeah, I just did that.
yeah, yeah. And I think it's awesome. Like you should, especially burlesque, it's such a celebration of self, you know.
Mm, mm,
You're getting on stage and saying, this is me. I hope you like it. So to have a moment and say, hey, this is me, even if you're feeling like, I think the thing is, nobody knows how anyone's actually feeling. Like
true.
when you tell me that I was so confident out there after a week of no sleep and producing the biggest thing I've ever done in my life and
Yeah.
forgetting to eat nearly every single day and
Oh,
all of this stuff. And like, honestly, the behind the scenes feeling like a mess and putting on a brave face to put on a great show. And I
yeah.
did put on a great show, and I think it was a really successful time, and everyone had a great time, which is great.
Yeah.
Um, nobody sees what's happening behind the scenes, and it's really just how you hold yourself or how you practice
Mm,
showing that confidence that really takes it to that level, because you can be freaking out on the inside. I think we're all freaking out on the inside. I think it's really normal to get nervous, and it's really normal to care that you're going to do a good job. I think everyone should want to be a little bit nervous,
yeah.
but it's just then, do you let that overtake your performance, or do you have the confidence to say, I'll do the job that I will do, and it's going to be good because at the end of the day, my titties are going to get out and people will say woo.
Exactly. There's no way that they can hate that.
Right? So, you know, it'll be fine.
Love it. Yeah, what was the, I mean, I know that you touched on it a bit there, but what was the experience like before producing a show of that standing? Because it was, yeah, I mean, like not only like the people that you had in the show, but like it was
Mm,
multi-state as well.
mm. Oh, logistically, it it's a lot. It's
Yeah.
a lot. I think it taught me so much about the things that I could do.
Mm, mm,
And I was really grateful for the experience because I did learn so much about myself on tour. I learned so much about myself putting that on, and every time I do it, I get better at it. And every time I work harder, and then I work harder, and then I work harder, and then I work harder. And I am so addicted to working and so addicted to this experience of this industry that it's so awesome being able to do these things. And while I didn't sleep for a week straight, and I don't think I ever got more than like 3 hours of sleep, I went to bed with the biggest smile on my face
yeah.
every single night. And I think that might have been like one of the happiest periods of my life. And I can't wait for the next one.
Oh, well, we can't wait
Yeah.
as well. It's very
Yeah.
exciting. Like, yeah, the energy in that room that night was just,
Ah,
it
it
was
was
next level.
magic.
It was so
Yeah.
good. And I love that you, in each of the capital cities as well, like you, spotlighted, like local artists too. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah. Well, every single city has such incredible artists anyway.
Yeah.
I think we are so lucky in this country, and so lucky, like Sydney as well. It was very hard to choose who to
Oh,
put, like it's very hard to choose anywhere in this
yeah.
country who to put in a show if you've only got two featured slots for one city. Like I ended up putting three in Melbourne just because I'm from Melbourne,
Yeah.
and I couldn't choose. It was so difficult. And I want to spotlight so many people in this industry because there are so many people doing so many cool things.
Mm,
We're
mm.
so blessed.
We really, really are, honestly. Like, yeah, if there's one complaint that I could have about the show, it's that I couldn't see the other states as well. I couldn't afford a plane ticket to see all
Oh,
of the other. Because yeah, no, that would have been incredible.
honestly, my biggest complaint was I couldn't see any of it.
Oh
Oh,
yes. No,
I
was
should
it?
have bought a ticket. Oh,
Did you end up getting a video recording?
oh yeah.
But it's not the same.
My partner Marcus hired some very expensive cinema grade film cameras, so we have a lot of footage of it, which is great.
Gorgeous.
So, but it's a lot to get through as well. And it's so hard to not just want to sit through and watch all of it, and then also not want to watch any of
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, it hits different when you're watching yourself, hey.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm very self-critical, very, very self-critical. So it's very hard for me to watch footage a lot of the time.
No. That actually blends perfectly into my next question. Do you have any moment in your career where you considered to have had an onstage fail? So something that didn't go quite right or to plan?
Oh, look, I want to say like every day.
Yeah.
I think anything that can go wrong in burlesque will go wrong.
Mm,
And if you do it for long enough, everything will happen to you. And I think everything has happened to me. I've fallen over more times than I care to count. I've stacked it. I've been stuck in costumes. I've had many fails.
yeah.
But I think that's the magic of burlesque, to be honest. I think it's a really great time
Mm.
making that moment something to work with. I think live entertainment is so great for a fail.
Yeah.
And when you've got like costume pieces and you're taking things off, you are gonna things are gonna get stuck, things aren't gonna work, all sorts of things are gonna happen. And it's how you roll with the punches
Yeah.
that makes it an interesting performance. I have probably the worst one that I could think of actually happened in Sydney, which is
Oh
so
yeah.
fitting. I think it was at a gig called Burlesque in Hand. I
Oh,
don't know that they still throwback.
yes, big
And
throwback.
and I was wearing my vampire dress. And
Uh,
I think I'd only worn it a couple of times at that point, and the zipper got caught.
oh,
And my vampire costume, the reveal is two gloves and a dress. And
yeah.
that's it. Those are the only strip elements. And my dress would not come off. And I have a whole floor sections. You've seen the act, you know
Yes.
how it goes.
Yeah.
And so my dress wouldn't come off at all,
No.
at all. And so I just had to continue and I just like flapped down the top of it at the very end and then walked off in my dress. And then I also couldn't get out of the dress because the
Oh,
zipper had my designer had put in like a zipper guard, which you don't need if you're taking it off a lot. I
hmm.
think it's more important that you snag your skin than get stuck in a costume any day.
Yeah.
I'd rather tear myself up on stage than get stuck in a costume. So
Fair.
I had to get someone to cut me out of the dress.
No.
The dress was fine. The dress was I was very panicky about it, but the dress ended up fine because we just ended up cutting out the zipper panel, which was
Uh,
fine. But it was very terrifying at that time. I was more worried about how my dress was going to be afterwards than actually being stuck in it. I was like, oh, the performance can be shit. That's fine. I can live with that. I can always live with that because people forget, people forgive, etc. But
mm-hmm.
my costume, oh my Lord.
For sure. And that's a beautiful dress as
It
well. Like just the
is.
moment that you said cut out, I was like, oh, my heart skipped
Yeah.
a beat. I was like, oh no.
Oh, honey, I had a bad day that day. But it was fine. It was fine. I gave it back to my designer and she's incredible. She fixed it up. She did such a great job and you would never know.
Gorgeous. No, I wouldn't have known that it had been through that. Not at
Mm,
all.
hmm
Who is your designer?
Elizabeth Louvre. She's
Um,
fantastic. She's from Melbourne
mhm.
and she is very involved with the cosplay community, and that's actually how we met.
Oh, no way.
So, yeah, I used to do cosplay before I did burlesque. So, when I say that everything I've done in my life has led to this moment, I fully mean it.
Wow.
I, yeah, I got my first sewing machine at 12 and
Oh
then
my
was
God.
making costumes up pretty much after that. I've done a couple of courses in costume design and the costume industry.
Yeah.
And yeah, I love costuming. And so when I met Elizabeth, I was obsessed with her work for a really long time. And then we had started talking way back in the day when I was very much beginning. She made a couple of costumes for me,
Mhm.
none that I really wear anymore, but she's made a fair few pieces for me now, and they're all just so meticulously the meticulous attention to detail that she has is
Mm.
just next level.
Yeah.
Like that dress in particular has heavy metal rhinestone patterning on it. So it looks like those metal logos, how they've got all of the really intricate, I don't know how to explain it. It looks like a bag of sticks, I guess, like just jumbled up. But it's very, very cool. And I'd never seen that on a costume before.
Yeah. Wow.
So we collaborate on our costumes. So I'll send her like this is my idea, this is the silhouette, this is the shape, this is the color, and I'll sort of either draw something up or give her my input, and then she'll give her input, and then together we create something that's pretty out of the world.
Oh, God, incredible. Can I just say, cosplay is such an underrated art form, I feel. Like seriously, the people involved in that community, like they go to incredible lengths to make their costumes like detailed enough, like
Uh-huh.
realistic. It's insane. So it's yeah, that's awesome. And it makes so much sense that, this detailed costume designer comes from that background.
Yeah, yeah. Absolutely.
Can I?
There's so many burlesque artists that have dabbled in cosplay as well. One in Sydney, Eva DeVore, she's
Oh,
got some
yes.
incredible stuff as
Dirty
well.
Queen. Love it. Now, I'm so sorry. This is very sidetracked, but I have to ask, otherwise I'll regret it. Do you have a favorite cosplay that you ever did from that era?
Oh my gosh, I did. This was before I even started burlesque.
Mhm.
I did a burlesque Widowmaker. So
Oh,
Widowmaker from Overwatch,
oh
which
my
is a
God.
game. If people don't know what that is, it's a game, and she's this like purple s- sniper.
Yeah,
She's like this very
yeah.
sexy, like skin tight suit. Imagine Black Widow from the Avengers and a blueberry had a baby.
Sexy. And you're like, let's do that, but make it burlesque.
Yeah, yeah. So it was like a showgirl. It was a showgirl piece, and I had styled myself to have like a headdress and a bustle, and it had lots of feathers and rhinestones.
Oh, hell
And I just did something really different. And I did it with a friend as well, and she did a showgirl diva, which is another character. So
ah,
we
yeah.
did a little collab, and it was very cute.
God, sounds incredible. Are there still pictures of that online?
Yeah, you could scroll. I have over 2,000 photos on my Instagram, so I wouldn't love that for you, but you could find it. It is there.
Listeners, if any of you are dedicated enough, there is a challenge.
I think I've done some pretty cool cosplays though.
Hell yeah.
I've thoroughly enjoyed doing cosplay, but I'm happy to leave that in the past now.
So fair. So fair. On to sparklier things.
Yes.
So, do you have a favorite costume that you've ever worn then?
Well, my favorite costume probably is the vampire.
So fair.
It probably is. I love it all the way down to the droplet on the fingernail.
Ah, yeah.
Yeah, and that costume, every time I post it on TikTok, it goes viral. So
Oh,
it's
really?
just it's just wonderful. It is a wonderful costume.
It's like
It's
that one's
doing
the
great things
moneymaker.
for me. Honestly, yes. And it packs up really small too.
Oh,
And that's really handy. I think it's really important to have costumes that you can travel with,
mm, mm.
which is such an underrated experience. I think if you do start traveling with burlesque, if you have these really big pieces, your luggage is full. I think my vampire costume probably only weighs like 2 kilos.
Oh,
So,
perfect.
and it packs up so tiny. It is a perfect costume.
It really is. The only thing was that zipper, but now that that's been sorted out,
It's fixed. She's cured.
incredible. So, do you have a signature move when you're on stage, do you reckon?
I think I used to. I think I really liked the idea of a signature move quite a long time ago.
Hmm.
And then I kind of pivoted away from doing the same thing in every routine because I'd get really bored
Yeah.
and I wanted to just mix it up as much as possible. But if I had to think about something that's pretty signature to something that you would see, it'd be like some sort of back bend,
Mm,
something to do with like flexibility or a crazy middle split.
yes.
I love my middle split.
That is an iconic Ivana move right there. Gymnastics
It's just
background
fun.
coming out.
Yeah, I find a lot of people can't do a middle split.
No.
So, yeah, it's not a comfortable one to do. I'll say it is. I think you have to be a certain kind of masochist to really nail a middle split and continue working on it. And so I love to bust one out.
Yeah. It's like, hey guys, look what I can do.
Yeah, I've tortured myself for many years for this move.
Yeah, well, look, I can't even touch my toes. So if I can see anyone do anything like that, I'm always like, oh my God.
Practice makes improvement, baby.
Oh God, it really does. I think that's going to be one of my goals for 2025. Touch the floor, just try.
I think that's a really reasonable goal.
Thank you. Thank
I
you.
think I think you can do it.
Oh,
I
thank
believe in
you.
you.
I appreciate that. Oh man. So who would you say now? I know that this is a very big question. So if you need a
Yeah.
second, who would you say is your biggest influence in dance?
Mm, you're right. That is a big question. I think in dancing and like in the burlesque industry itself, I
Mm.
feel like it's really hard to ignore Dita Von Teese
Yeah.
as possibly the greatest example of a modern day success story in this industry.
Mm.
I think it's such a niche industry itself. Burlesque is a revival sport, so there isn't a huge example of what success looks like,
Yeah.
or many people making large scale careers out of this profession. So it's hard to say Dita isn't absolutely killing it and isn't showing us a really beautiful example of what can be done.
Absolutely.
I fully respect everything that she's doing, and I think she's doing it so beautifully and with such poise.
Mhm.
But an example of something that I like to do on stage or an inspiration that I take would probably be Gypsy Rose Lee. And
Mm.
she's not current, unfortunately, but she was so entertaining with all of the things that she did. And she was very much a personality. And while your first experience watching me was a big stage production, my favorite kinds of performances are the more intimate shows. They are the roving performances because I'm very chatty on stage.
Yeah.
I love having a bit of a chin wag with the people in the audience. So
Yeah.
she was really, really pivotal for doing that. And I think burlesque is one of those art forms that isn't just dancing or it isn't just a stage show. It can kind of be whatever you want it to be. And I love talking on stage and I love talking to people in the audience and breaking that fourth wall. And she was a really great example of doing that.
Oh,
And she also made a lot of money in her era. She
oh,
was a queen.
hell yeah.
Yes. Yes, ma'am. So, so I'm obsessed with her.
So, the shows that you like doing the best, they're the intimate ones, like the things that you do at La Bar.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, there's a soft spot in my heart for both. I think I would be upset if I didn't have one or the other, if that
Mm,
makes sense.
absolutely.
But I think there is something to be said about intimate performance. I think burlesque is such a type and style of performance that really makes people feel either very uncomfortable or very comfortable.
Yeah.
And it's so exciting opening someone up to an experience that invites them to feel a certain kind of way and it invites them to challenge their views on sensuality, sexuality, gender, all of these different concepts. And
Mm,
so being able to actually speak to someone while you do that or make someone feel comfortable verbally rather than just dancing, I think it transcends just the visual plane. And I think
yeah.
that is a really awesome part about it. And also, I think I'm pretty funny. So I just like to have a laugh. And burlesque is way more fun if you're giggling.
Oh, absolutely. God, I need to see you in Melbourne now. But that sounds incredible.
Come on down.
Yeah.
Always welcome.
Awesome. So, do you have any advice for new performers?
Oh my gosh, I have so much advice for new performers. You ain't even ready for how much advice I have for new performers.
Let's go.
The the first thing I'll say is be kind to everyone.
Mm,
I think that goes without saying, but I think a lot of performers can get wrapped up in their own things, and a lot of things happen to everyone. But first and foremost, just put on your best face. We're all having a good time. I think this is the lowest stakes industry in the world.
mm.
We are literally taking our clothes off for a ha ha and a hee hee. So just be nice. I think being kind is the best thing you can do, especially like while not everyone's going to be your friend, I think it is wonderful working with people who are nice. And I think that's how you get more gigs is by
Yeah.
being kind to those around you. Nobody wants to work with a diva,
Mm,
unfortunately.
mm.
It's just not going to work out. So just be nice, listen to people, and do your best to be your best version of yourself at all times. Another piece of advice is don't impulse buy costume pieces. Think about what you're purchasing and if you'll actually use it, or if it's just like a fleeting decision, you
Mm.
can spend so much money. I have wasted so much money on buying little things, being like, yeah, I'm gonna make a new thing. This is gonna happen, and it never happens, and it's in a box, and then eventually I end up passing it on to someone else, which is great. But maybe that should have just never happened in the first place. And if you do buy, it doesn't have to be expensive. Please don't buy fast fashion if you can help it. Get on
Mm.
Depop or eBay. I get so many of my dresses from Depop. You
Really?
know, oh my gosh, yes,
Good.
absolutely. One girl's formal attire, she wears it once and you wear it every weekend. And they
Holy.
sell them for so cheap. It's amazing. I've got like
Mm.
every gown that I wear on the weekend comes from Depop, $50. Need I say less? Like it's incredible.
Wow.
Um, Another piece of advice would be practice your routines.
Mm.
Do not rely on improv. It's not your friend, let me tell you. It's great when it's good and it's really bad when it's really bad.
Yeah.
And yeah, collaborate with others, go to shows, support the industry that wants to support you,
Yeah.
live, laugh, love, take classes, do all of the things. Do all of the things.
Just dive on in there.
Yeah. I mean, there's heaps there. You can pick one.
Absolutely. Pick whatever takes your fancy.
Yeah, yeah. Just work on something.
Oh, that's all very good advice. My goodness.
Hmm.
So, we're getting towards the end of the interview. So, thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it.
I appreciate you. These are great questions.
Oh, thank you, thank you. I mean, look, it's means a lot to hear that from you when I know that I wrote these questions after a big long night of rhinestoning and huffing way too much E6000. So, thank you. It's like,
Honestly, your brain could not be in a better position to do that. Are you
yeah.
joking? That's like the burlesque mindset.
All the best decisions get made on E6000. Oh man. So is there anyone else in the scene? I mean, I know that we've touched on this quite a lot in the interview, but anyone that you want to spotlight that's doing something amazing right now that you think deserves more recognition?
Absolutely. I look everyone, and that's a very broad answer, but I can be more specific. Depending on when you hear this, Trigger Happy is doing some really incredible stuff with
Mm,
getting some overseas artists. Very early 2025, he is producing the Headliners Tour, which has got Frankie Fictitious
yes.
and Banbury Cross. They're
Mm,
going to, I'm pretty sure, every major city in Australia. So if you haven't got tickets, that's going to be an incredible show. That's an incredible lineup.
yeah,
And it's really awesome to see people from overseas coming to Australia. I know it's really far away, but it's really cool when they come here and party with us. So I would highly recommend that. I think that's really awesome.
for sure.
Yeah, otherwise, Sydney has incredible things going on all the time. There are so many incredible artists here. Highly recommend anything that Porcelain Alice or Natalia Alessi are
Mm,
involved with. They're fantastic people. Yeah, I mean, this is a thriving scene. There's so much on almost like every weekend. So
yeah.
yeah,
No.
there's a lot.
We're extremely lucky, honestly. There's so many shows and so many different kinds of shows as well. I feel very spoiled for
Mm.
choice.
100%, 100%. And yeah, get Googling if you need to find things to do. I highly recommend just following as many artists on Instagram. That's definitely how I find out what people are doing. That tends to be where most people promote their work. So yeah, there's a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. Just get out there, guys. Just get out there.
Yeah,
You'll find
just do it.
something.
Hmm.
So now we've come to the part of the show where it's time for you to promote whatever you're working on right now. So let's say in the new year, do you have anything that you want to promote to the listeners?
Absolutely, I do. I have so much I have to promote, which
Oh
is
yeah.
exciting. What a blessing. I feel incredibly lucky. I have just launched my brand new dance school, EDL Studios, which you can find on all the socials with the handle EDL Studios.
Mhm.
It is a mix of workshops and hopefully by the time that you're listening to this, online classes as well from me and a bunch of wonderful, incredible burlesque artists from all around the world. And yeah, I highly recommend checking that out once you get the chance. There is a mix of, yeah, online classes and also in-person workshops. And again, from so many beautiful artists, I don't want to give anything away, but I'm very excited about it. I have also just finished a huge tour this year from doing international shows and like local shows as well, touring all across Australia. And I'm gearing up for my next shows for next year. So keep
Ooh.
your eye out for those. There will definitely be exciting things happening, and I'm very, very excited about them. Anytime you want to see something, please check out my website because that's where I do put everything.
Mm.
So I have a lot coming up. And then also, the gig that I produce in Melbourne is going from fortnightly to weekly as of next year as well. So La Bar Supper Club is going to be having burlesque every Friday and Saturday night, which is incredible. And
Oh
it's
yeah.
really amazing for the scene in general. I have a lot of artists from all over Australia and the world as well coming over to La Bar, which is super exciting.
Oh.
And you'll have to come and visit me sometime.
Yes, absolutely. Like, oh my God, now I was already going to, but now I'm just like tenfold, yes.
Yay. Oh, I can't wait. But yeah, honestly, I can't even think straight. I'm like, there's just so much to do.
And like I think that that's honestly a testament to all of your hard work. I mean, like, you like I don't want to sound like a typical podcaster, but like you've been on the grind and now like, you're receiving the fruits of your labor. Like it's really awesome and inspiring to see.
Uh, thank you so much. As I said earlier, I'm addicted to work.
Yeah.
I'm very addicted to work. I'm also very blessed that my partner works with me
Oh,
slash for me.
gorgeous.
So we honestly, our relationship is working. So all we do is work and we love to work together and we work, 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 and we whistle while we work and we work and we work. And that's life. And I love it.
It sounds perfect. Well, thank you so much, Ivana, for being on the show. This has been awesome.
It has been awesome. It's so nice talking to you. Thanks for having me.
Oh, stop it. Amazing. Well, best of luck with everything. I know at the time of recording, you have workshops coming up on the weekend. So best of luck. I hope you have an amazing time and hopefully we'll be able to chat again soon.
Sounds great. Thank you.
Just bye.
Bye.
Hello, Strip Back listeners. Did you enjoy that chat with Evana De Lune? I certainly did. Well, if you want more of where that came from, our sister podcast, the Burlesque Bulletin, based in Queensland and hosted by the freaking gorgeous Honey Holloway, has an episode coming out with Ivana as well in January. Can you believe it? Freaking awesome. So it's essentially going to be a part two of this interview, more or less. They're like bookends, you know? You can't really have one without the other. So if you've listened to this and you like it, go listen to Honey's podcast in 2025. You're gonna freaking froth it. Anyways, that's everything I wanted to tell you. Bye!